Hello there, it's Dr. Jason, board certified naturopathic doctor. I want to talk to you today about fasting. Fasting has some incredible benefits, and I was actually, reading the literature and big fan of it for many, many years. But I didn't even try it. Honestly, I was a little chicken, to be honest with you, because I've had some issues with blood sugar and getting a little bit hangry and all that. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to mess with that. But then I tried it out recently, and oh my goodness, it's made a huge impact in my life. So let's talk about it. Okay, fasting. Now, there's a million types of fasts, really. I'm just going to kind of go over some basic principles and what I think would be a good place to start if you want to give it some thought. And I'm going to really focus on what's called time-restricted eating, or intermittent fasting is really the term for that. Now, I want to mention real quick that fasting for prolonged periods of time, so we're talking 3, 4, 5 days or longer, or you might hear people doing a juice fast for like 40 days. I do not recommend that. And by the way, you have to be careful with any fasting with certain medical conditions, certain types of medications people take. So I wouldn't just jump right into this. Definitely check with someone, a provider you trust that understands fasting before you get started with it, but at least educate yourself on it, because it'd be some amazing benefits. But anyway, I don't recommend a longer fasting because you flat out just will lose muscle. You're just going to lose muscle. Your metabolism is going to go down. I just think it's excessive beyond, a day or two. I'm talking about if you're not eating anything and just doing water is what I'm talking about in the long-term stuff, okay? But getting back to kind of more everyday sustainable, like everyday life, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. So I think one of the easiest things to do is just to cut out breakfast. It just is. And to kind of summarize the science there, you consume your meal, the night before. You go to bed, your body, your hormones have to stabilize, your electrolytes, your blood sugar, all that stuff has to stabilize, right? Otherwise, you can't stay asleep. You'd have to get up and eat. So if it stabilizes it, it just makes sense to then continue that fast, right, as you wake up. Do some water. You can do bulletproof coffee if you want, but you're pretty much keeping that same nice level, hormonal profile of your bloodstream all the way until hopefully about noon. So I really think, based on what I've seen clinically with myself as well, and also the literature, cutting out breakfast as a means of entering this intermittent fasting idea, I feel, is one of the smartest ways to do it. And it just seems to be the most practical for a lot of people as well. We also are so busy in the morning. A lot of times our breakfast is wimpy anyway. Some people skip it anyway. So go ahead and continue that, but get in some water though, with some salt, Celtic salt, a little pinch. And then again, a bulletproof coffee gives you some awesome, fats there. I highly recommend grass-fed butter in there, and you're going to get some great minerals from that as well. And that's going to hold you over a lot of times right up until 11, 12, 1 o'clock. So let's try that, and then kind of do your normal lunch. You will notice after a while though, you'll be hungry, but it's a different kind of hungry. Like you have more control over it, more physiological and psychological control over your hunger. It's kind of cool actually, versus like being hangry and shaky and like I gotta eat, and then you kind of overeat. Your lunch is gonna be like, okay, I'm ready to eat, but it's just kind of cool. It's a different feeling. And so definitely make sure though lunch is pretty large. Okay, you're gonna have to. I recommend going another 6 hours without eating if you can, and skipping right through lunch. Mid-afternoon for a snack. If you can get right to dinner and consume dinner around between the 5 and 7 window mark there, p.m., that's a great idea there. So you really got 2 meals in. And again, lunch being largest, dinner should be moderate size, and it could be on a bigger size. That's totally fine. And then again, make sure you've got enough to hold you over. You're not hungry after dinner. And then remember, after dinner, we start our next fast for the next day. And then again, try not to eat again till noon, and play with that a little bit. You might have to introduce that noon meal, or that midday meal, I should say, at maybe like 10 o'clock when you first get used to it. Maybe move it up a little bit, and then maybe try that for a week or two, and then try 11 and try 12. Just keep seeing how your body responds. You'll notice the more you fast, the more insulin sensitive you'll get, which means you have better control over your blood sugar. You actually need to eat less as your body gets sensitive. That's one of the main benefits to fasting, guys, is your insulin sensitivity goes through the roof. That means with meals, you secrete less insulin with each meal, even a large meal, than when you eat meals frequently. Your insulin sensitive tends to actually soar even with healthy food. Humans are really not meant to eat 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. We're just not. And I'm just paraphrasing for the average person. There's different conditions out there. Let's talk if you want to get into your individual situation, or if you're an athlete. But as just a regular human being, let's try to get 2 meals in there in that fasting window. You can get 3 if you'd like. If you'd like to do an afternoon snack, totally your prerogative, okay? One of the two of the big things I want to get to you real quick before we end this is apoptosis. There's an epidemic of cancer right now, okay? Now, I'm not saying I have all the answers, nobody does, but I can tell you, if you can do some apoptosis, which means you kill off cancer cells or rogue cells before they've created a blood supply, which is called angiogenesis. If you can kill them off before that, that's a win, okay? No matter who you are, how old you are, it doesn't matter. Apoptosis is one of the big benefits of fasting. Even intermittent fasting has been shown to induce that to some extent. Another big one is called autophagy. Autophagy is when our immune system doesn't have all this food to digest all the time, and it can say, instead of being around the GI tract, it can go out, send its soldiers out to the periphery and the rest of our body tissues and clean up old cellular waste, old cells, old debris, maybe attack parasites or microbes. It can really clean up all this other junk in our body that, remember, when you eat food and consume meals, all your immune system, almost all of it has to go to your GI. Okay, it has to, because that's where most illness comes from. It comes from the outside in, right? That's 2 big tenets of fasting I think are huge. Again, a third one, insulin sensitivity. You just notice you'll have more blood sugar control. You'll feel better. I think your energy will go up. I wasn't even really trying to. I lost, I think, 8 to 10 pounds within that first month. Just fell off, and I was eating large, lunches and dinners. I was not starving myself. I was not trying to diet, so to speak. I just think the inflammation and insulin correction improved. And yes, there's probably some caloric reduction, which isn't probably bad. Most of us carry around extra weight. Why not do something about it? So check out intermittent fasting. Let me know how it goes, and take care. Be well.